Okay, so we're gonna start trying to build this catio for our cat, who is probably inside right now trying to get himself out. So we're building it on this window right here onto our deck, but just gonna try and sketch out a little idea of what it is that this patio, or this catio, sorry, is gonna look like. We're trying to just make a small space for our cat so that he can make his way outside. So the first thing we're gonna do is we got some measurements. So the box is going to be 29 wide, that's the width of the window, and then I have some pieces that are already cut to 48 inches that will work really well for the side pieces. So it's going to be about, what is that, 4 feet tall, so 48 by 29 is going to be our back piece, and then it's going to come out about 18 inches from the house, from the window, and then go down 48 inches, and it's going to just be a simple it's going to be a simple box, really. But what we want to do, it's going to be a simple box, 48 by 29 by 18 box. But what we want to do is we want to give it a little bit of interest, so we're going to try and give it a little bit of a line right there, and we're going to try and bring it down at an angle, so it'll be like that. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to reinforce it with a space right with a piece of wood around the middle, and that's also where we're going to place a platform so that our cat can come out of the house and have a little place to sit there, or if they want to go on the bottom of the house right there, or on the catio right there. So this is kind of our little rough sketch. I can just draw it again. So I'm just going to redraw what we had here as our sketch. We have it like this, comes out a little bit, it's a little difficult on this table, down, comes out, down, back down, goes across, up that way, add an angle, comes across, there, 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 put a shelf in here. It's going to go all the way across, and all the way across, and this will come down like that, and it's going to be 29, 48, this measurement is going to be 18, but we're going to do here, we're going to do 6 and 12. So that's going to be our basic structure of what we're trying to build here. And let's go grab the wood and see what we can do. So the first thing we did was cut the pieces and assemble them for the back frame, the one that's going against the window. I used simple butt joints with screws into end grain. This isn't going to be an heirloom piece, it's only meant to hold a cat, so I'm not too worried about the strength of these joints. Back frame, 2 side frames to do next. Next, we do basically the same steps, only make the pieces a little bit shorter for the front frame of the Catio.
simple butt joints, and we just test fit it up against the window frame.
Basic structure of what we're going to do. We're going to have two more 19-inch pieces right here along the side here. Build out that structure right there. That'll be the majority of our box.
These side pieces were screwed in with the same outdoor long screws that we used on all the other joints. Then I measured out for the placement of the two side pieces where the shelf is going to go and screw those in. So this is the frame for the Catio that we're building, and all we have to do now is put on the two top pieces that are going to hold the whole thing on the top, and we'll be done with the frame for this Catio for our cat. Using a hand-tightened clamp, I was able to hold in the straight pieces so that I could screw them in from the back. The next step was to find the length for the pieces that were going to act as our angled pieces from the top.
Again, we got 7 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared, so 49 plus 144 equals C squared. That is 3 over 1, 9, and 193. So we're just going to get the square root of 193.
There was some additional trigonometry that was involved in finding the angles that the pieces need to be cut in, but I won't bore you with that additional math. The next step was cutting out the pieces for the shelves. This was some leftover plywood that came from a crate that some outdoor furniture was delivered in. Actually, all of the lumber that this project was made out of came from scraps of wood that we had from other projects. Once the shelf was cut to the correct size, it was screwed into the base. The bottom area was done with two separate pieces that were cut to size and laid in next to each other. then screwed into the base. And this is the whole frame built out for our Catio. After placing the Catio up against the window, I decided it would be better if the Catio was raised up. So I measured the distance that the Catio needed to be raised and cut 2 blocks to test. Temporary. Let's see if I got the spacing and the size right for these 10-inch pieces. So that we'll lift it up. So we're going to cut 2 more sets. And we'll have 4 feet for the. We'll have 4 feet for the base of this. Then this was screwed in with some long screws. So we're going to add one more cross piece right here where we're going to be able to attach more mesh that will keep the cat from being able to sneak out that way. And we're just going to cut one piece for right here. After assembling the frame, I needed to knock down the corners on the angled pieces. These pointed areas were sticking up and needed to be flush for the screen to be able to fit nicely over the top and follow the frame. Using a rasp plane and a small bench plane, I was able to knock down the points to be flush with the other sections of the frame. Next, we began sanding. You'll probably notice that a lot of the sanding is done here without the shelves or the feet, and the final back piece is also missing. That's because this was shot out of order, but this is where the sanding step goes after assembly. But I did sand the shelves also. Now, we paint. For the paint, I used the same stain that was applied to our deck. The previous owner of our house left behind a container of the same stain, and I was able to use that so it matches nicely. For the screening, I used what was labeled as pet-resistant screening from the big box store. This was easy to work with a staple gun, and I was able to just staple all the screening right into the wood. it was also able to be cut easily with scissors. Once the Catio was in place, there was still a small gap between the window and the frame, so just a small piece of plywood was cut and screwed into the frame to keep the bugs and the cat from being able to sneak through. It's probably not large enough for him to sneak through, but he probably would try anyway. The last step was the installation. A few screws into the Catio and window frame, and it's ready to go. I think we have a Catio built. Let's go check it out from the other side. And here's our cat getting his first look at his new Catio. I hope you like this Catio build. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell button. I have links to all my social media in the doobly-doo. What do you think, Ozzy? Do you like it? I think that's a yes. I hope you all join me again and stop by and see what CJ does.